Last example essay you'll see, this is the one out of the booklet that you got today, the Parent, Student, and Teacher Guide. Your topic was to write an argument whether professional athletes should be allowed to compete in the Olympic Games. So you can choose to argue either way. You can write that they should be allowed to compete, or you can write that they should not be allowed to compete. It doesn't matter as long as you support your argument with evidence from the passages. So I'm going to show you how to set up one final example foursquare. So I'm going to draw it like always. Okay, this is what you always start with. This is the first thing that you'll draw tomorrow, no matter what the topic is. Then you can choose an introduction for this one. I would choose description, and I would start by describing maybe what it felt like to be an Olympic athlete or to be a winner at the Olympic Games. And if you've watched any of the Olympics on television recently, you can use that as well. Now, I'm going to be arguing that they should be allowed to compete in the games. So I have to come up with 3 reasons why they should be allowed to compete. You can just as well argue that they should not be allowed to compete, and you have to come up with 3 reasons why they shouldn't. Either way, those reasons will come from the passages. In the reading that you had, the 2 passages that went along with this writing prompt, it gave you enough information to support either side. Okay? So now I'm going to come up with my main ideas. The first one is that it promotes the spirit of goodwill. The second one is that some ancient Olympians also received payment. And the last one is that the games have changed. These are not the only 3 main ideas that you could use. You could use other ones. These are just the 3 that I found in the passage, but there are other ones there as well. So now I go back and put in my details for the first one. Created to promote goodwill among nations. Makes the games more inclusive. And fans will enjoy watching well-known figures or well-known athletes. Fans enjoy watching well-known athletes. Okay, the details in box number 3. Popular athletes were paid to compete. Victors were given large sums of money. We put victors were given money. And they could make more than a soldier. Okay, and finally, under the games have changed, we have concept of professional athlete is new. Games are not exactly the same, meaning they've added some games, taken some away. And they will probably continue to change. Okay, all of this information also came from the passages that we read, or that I read, the passages that you have. The part on paragraph 4 that says games are not exactly the same and that they may continue to change, that's not exactly from those passages, but if you know anything about the Olympic Games, you could also put that in here. Now we have to write our thesis, and we write our thesis by combining those main ideas. So let's do that real quick. And state my argument here. So whatever argument you decide to make, be sure you state it. We have professional, athletes should be allowed to compete in the Olympic Games because it promotes goodwill, some ancient Olympians were paid, and because, let's see, and because the games are a changing event. Because, let's see, the games are a changing event. Okay, so this would be one way to do a four-square. If you were arguing that professional athletes should be allowed to compete, your main ideas and your details come from the passages that you read. Your thesis comes from combining those main ideas together. You could just as easily argue that they should not be allowed to compete because, and then find your 3 reasons in the passages there, because that wasn't the original intent, because they would get more practice, because it's unethical, whatever reasons you could find in the passages. Okay? All right, this is the last one, so good luck tomorrow.